Hello, good morning, and welcome to the morning news here on TV3. My name is Beatrice Edu. Coming up in the next few minutes, Ghana National Education Coalition Campaign Coalition commends the government's 2026 education budget, but urges timely, inclusive, and effective implementation to achieve desired impact. Also coming up, Vice Chairman for Defense and Interior Committee, Peter Lanchini-Tobu, urges expansion of NIMOS personnel to 1,000. And on the firing front, UK Home Secretary warns illegal migration tearing nation apart as new asylum plans impose a 20-year settlement wait and regular refugee status review requirements. Thank you very much for joining us on the program this morning. Now the chairperson for the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament, Peter Lanchini-Tobu, says the number of personnel for the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, NIMOS, should be increased from 400 to 1,000. In an interview on Hot Issues, he noted that the 150 million CD allocated in the budget to NIMOS is not enough and hopes it will be increased in the 2026 mid-year budget review.
Alternative livelihood programs should be running.
Okay.
Responsible cooperative mining and skills development should be running alongside. And gradually realize that the mining that we want to sustain our economy, legal money, as we call it, will continue to be there, and the illegality of it all will just disappear. Mining is not our problem. It's the illegality of it, this environmental destruction of it. The fact that now Galamsey has become mining with heavy equipment, without rules and regulations, that has been our problem. If not, when I was a child, mining has been there. Galamsey has been there with pickers and a shovel and whatnot. Today we do Galamsey with heavy machinery.
So until then, we're running in circles.
And we are on. We are on. NIMOS is on. And I think that at the weekend you see what they are doing. But I'm saying that what they are doing, if you are able to enhance their capacity with the numbers and the tooling, I'm sure that they will do a wonderful job for this country. Because they've shown a sign that that is the way to go.
Well, they have 150 million in the 2026 budget to augment their work.
No, I mean, when I saw that budget line yesterday, I smiled.
Why?
Because 150 million for NIMOS. That is just in the budget. And I'm quite sure that it is too small. I'm quite sure that the Minister of Finance in the mid-year budget will come and do something about it. Very particularly if this suggestion of increasing the force strength of NIMOS from a 400 force to 1,000. We'll have to come and look at it. Even that, if the force strength even still remains at 400, 150 million for NIMOS, looking at the volume of work that they have to do, looking at their mandate, I'm sure in the mid-year budget review, the Minister of Finance will do something about that.
And speaking of the budget, the Finance Minister, Dr. Kasia Olatofosin, says it will take 4 years for the 4 helicopters that are being procured for the Ghana Armed Forces to arrive in the country. Speaking on the key points, the Finance Minister said that 1 or 2 may arrive before the 4-year period.
We have begun the discussion with the helicopter manufacturing companies. And let me put this on record. We are not engaging any third party. It's the Ghana Armed Forces directly talking to the manufacturers and giving them their specifications. And I can assure you that the Ghana Armed Forces will get value for money. These helicopters may take up to 4 years.
4 years?
4 years.
To deliver?
To deliver.
So are you manufacturing it from scratch?
They have to.
You are not buying used ones?
No, it's not used ones. They are new helicopters fitted with modern gadgets. and they are buying it from scratch. And then it's our belief that it will take 4 years to get the entire full. Probably they may get 1 or 2 before 4 years, but the entire 4 will be ready in the next 4 years. And that is the decision of the ministry between the Ghanaian forces and those that are selling. In the coming days, we'll be going to Parliament to present those agreements to Parliament for discussion. Is it necessary for us to charter at all? And thankfully, the current president has not done any chartering for himself. And then obviously he flies commercial when he has to, but he cannot continue to fly commercial.
John Mahama has never chartered a flight since he became president.
Have you seen him charter one? Have you seen him charter one?
No.
He's not chartered one. As long as I'm concerned, I've not seen him charter a plane for his use. No, he uses commercial flight. And there are instances that we've seen him even use Jata, his brother's plane, to support his travels. But obviously there was the need for us to have an executive flight. The truth is, purchasing an executive flight doesn't mean the president will be the one to use it. It may take 4 years. You remember President Kufuor purchased flight, the current Falcon, was purchased by President Kufuor. But he never had opportunity to use it until he left office. Another president came and used it. But we are building a country. The fact that President Mahama may not be the one to use the plane for the state does not mean it should not be purchased. There will be a president in future. This country is a going concern. And so there's the need for us to have a flight worthy of the Republic of Ghana.
Finance Minister Dr. Kasia Alto-Forsyth in that exclusive conversation with us earlier. Now, Ghana's education sector is grappling with deepening challenges from severe teacher deficit to poor infrastructure, hindering academic progress in many rural basic schools. But a proposed government intervention to construct some 400 teacher accommodation facilities, as captured in the 2026 budget, offers renewed hope for improving learning conditions in underdeveloped communities.
Ghana's education sector has been grappling with several challenges that continue to undermine the academic progress of pupils in many basic schools, particularly those in rural communities. A severe shortage of teachers, poor educational infrastructure, limited teacher accommodation, and inadequate learning materials continue to undermine the quality of basic education. For instance, basic schools in Kwewu Afram Plains North and South, in the Eastern region, Bunkpurugu and Yonyo in the Northeast region, as well as Triponi and Saboba in the Northern region, are among the areas experiencing poor learning conditions for both pupils and staff. Unresolved accommodation constraints in these underserved communities have compelled many teachers to refuse postings. This is hindering the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 4, which promotes quality and equitable access to education and lifelong learning for all.
Education is the key to development, and the teachers are the people holding the key. Governments should help those who are in the deprived areas. Anytime they are reading budget, we see that all the attention is just in the cities. Accra, Kumasi, let's just say the cities. But when you look at the deprived districts that they have just created, the attention is not there. So the only thing is that we continue to cry.
In Baligan in the Gushegu Karaga district, the head teacher is forced to practice multi-grade teaching and has converted one of only 3 available classrooms into accommodation for his nuclear family. The lack of decent housing has resulted in many posted teachers retreating from such communities.
When we went to Gushegu Karaga, that village you went, 3 classroom block, they are using 2. The head teacher is using one of the classroom for him, he himself and the family. Abba. It's very pathetic.
The structure is just the major problem that we are facing. Rainy season like this, we rather sit under trees rather than go inside to endanger our lives. Because as now, looking at the structure, it has a crack and we don't know when it will fall. It can either be today, it can either be tomorrow.
However, the government's proposed intervention captured in the 2026 budget to construct 400 teacher accommodation facilities has been widely welcomed by stakeholders in the education sector. Despite substantial investment by successive governments, the gap in educational infrastructure and teacher motivation remains wide. Finance Minister Dr. Kasiel Atoforsen has indicated plans to resource the Ghana Education Trust Fund, GET Fund, to undertake key educational projects.
GET Fund again will construct 400 4-unit teacher bungalows, 2 million pieces of metal mono decks and chairs, 200 unit 66-seater buses, 200 double cabin pickups, and 50 saloon cars.
Yet, some teachers remain disappointed by the government's silence on the implementation of the 20% rural teacher allowance, arguing that it would help sustain their interest in accepting and remaining at rural postings. Others are calling on the government to prioritize rural communities in the rollout of the 200 new school projects earmarked for construction. As the challenges confronting rural basic education deepen, stakeholders insist that lasting progress will depend not only on new infrastructure, but also the policies that motivate and retain teachers where they are needed most. The hope is that government-promised interventions, if fully implemented, will narrow the inequity gap and restore dignity to teaching and learning in Ghana's most deprived communities. Stanley Nibleu, TV3 News, Accra.
Rhoda's life changed forever when she received the devastating diagnosis. The stigma, fear, and uncertainty about what lay ahead were overwhelming.
When I went to that facility, the nurse who saw my reports went to my school to tell a colleague teacher to be careful about me and that I am HIV positive. So when I come back to the school, they shouldn't get closer to me. They shouldn't allow the students to get close to me. But this lady, I always appreciate her a lot. She's called Madam Grace. The lady kept this to herself. And because of even what the guy told her, she decided to be more close to me. It was just recent, last year, that she disclosed this to me.
The fear of being ostracized by her loved ones kept her silent. But she found love, and together with her husband, they welcomed children who are not carriers of the virus.
I remember when I got married and I got pregnant with my first child, I went to a certain facility to seek for my ANC, and the very first day I got to the facility, 2 nurses were there having a discussion. And the discussion was around a person who just came there and tested positive to HIV. And they were discussing the person's surgery. I was able to identify whom they were talking about, because one was directing the friend to where the person stays and another thing. And since we were in the same community, I was able to trace to see the person they were talking about. So I was like, wow, I'm also positive. So what will be my stand after they get to know of my status as well? Meaning they are going to discuss me and who will be the next person to hear about my story. So I left the facility. I decided not to come to the antenatal at all. But on the day of my delivery, I gave them my prophylaxis to be given to my child because I was due for delivery, and then I knew they have to give the prophylaxis to the child. Immediately, the baby comes out. The moment I gave this to the woman, her attitude towards me changed. She now became cold. She wasn't responding to me. So when I started having the contractions and was crying for help, she wasn't coming to me. But lo and behold, there were some student nurses at the facility, and one of them was coming to me. The woman, when I was even, the baby's head was coming out. I felt it, I held it, and so that the head was coming out. I shouted to them that the baby is coming. She said I should shut up and be there. Which baby is coming? HIV nipa so. Obatete ye wa hase. You be di wachi sa be de say be hwe no wan hwe pa no obi anya bi mo kɔ ne ho am hwe yi. And I was scared. I was crying.
Rhoda's story is not unique. Thousands of Ghanaians live with HIV silently, battling stigma and fear. Despite the progress made in Ghana's fight against HIV, stigma remains a significant barrier. Many still view HIV as a moral issue rather than a health condition.
We recognize that one of the biggest barriers to the stigma is even among the health workers who are supposed to provide care to HIV clients. They themselves stigmatize the clients. And so as charity begins at home, we have come up with some training package for healthcare workers. And we have also engaged with other partners like the Nurses and Midwifery Council. And they are now trying to include a course on stigma in their curriculum.
The Ghana AIDS Commission estimates that about 334,000 people are living with HIV in the country. However, only about 151,000 are on treatment, highlighting the need for more support and acceptance. Rhoda has become an advocate for HIV awareness, sharing her story to break the stigma.
I really felt that day that we really need to talk. We really need our voices to be heard because we can easily die just because of how people perceive persons living with HIV.
As Ghana strives to end AIDS by 2030, it is crucial to address the stigma and discrimination that hinder progress. And yet, the Ghana AIDS Commission appears handicapped with lack of resources to intensify and sustain awareness creation.
We need the resources. We want to end AIDS by 2030. Without a dedicated fund to support all the innovations, all the other interventions, there's no way we'll be able to achieve that result.
It is important to create a society where persons living with HIV feel valued, supported, and empowered to live their lives without fear. Sarah Penkro, TV3 News, Accra.
Indeed, Sarah Penkro there highlighting the pervasive stigma and discrimination which continue to marginalize persons living with HIV and AIDS. Now, let's return to our story on education and the Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition has welcomed the government renewed investment in the education sector as outlined in the 2026 budget. GNEC, in a statement, called on authorities to ensure full, timely and equitable implementation. The statement also applauded the government's bold commitment, including plans to construct some 200 junior high schools, also 200 primary schools and 200 kindergartens, along with 400 teachers' bungalows and places of convenience. GNEC also commended the government's pledge to supply free, comprehensive, curriculum-based textbooks. Now, despite welcoming the budgetary allocations, GNEC expressed concern over the historical challenges associated with implementation delays and inadequate stakeholder engagement. Now, on the foreign front, Sudanese nationals living in Ghana on Sunday took to the streets of Accra to protest atrocities being committed in their country's ongoing civil war. Sudanese ambassador to Ghana, Garibala Kidia Ali, who took part in the protests, took a swipe at both the African Union and the United Nations for failing to swiftly broker peace between the rebels and pro-government forces. Stanley Niblo filed this report for us earlier.
The conflict in Sudan has led to the deaths of more than 150,000 people and displaced over 14 million residents, with majority fleeing into neighboring countries. Currently, the paramilitary group, the Rapid Support Forces, have seized control of El Fasher, where waves of attacks have left scores of women and children dead. Rebel forces have also blocked humanitarian aid to the worst-hit areas, triggering severe starvation. On Sunday, November 16, 2025, Sudanese nationals in Ghana, joined by concerned Ghanaians, marched through the streets of Accra to protest against atrocities being committed back home.
Time to free Sudan!
It's time to free Sudan! Led by their ambassador, The demonstrators expressed disappointment at what they described as the slow and ineffective response of the international community to the deepening crisis.
Organizations are not doing enough effort to help Sudan bringing lasting peace in Sudan, specifically the AU, because in Sudan we always believe in the slogan that we say African solutions to African problems. But the AU till now, they are trying, to sit with the government, and they are trying to find a solution, but it's not enough effort. We are looking for more solidarity, quick movement to help the people of Sudan achieving the last peace in Sudan.
He wants the peace process expedited.
All the Sudanese are looking for democracy, and this will happen, inshallah, after we finish this war and the people of Sudan return back to their homes.
Organizers of the protest appealed for increased humanitarian assistance for the displaced.
And I think they are trying to show pressure to the government in order to be called for peace and sharing power at the end of the day. But we Sudanese, I believe we send our message from here on behalf of all of them. I think we are all one now, standing with the government of Sudan against any kind of genocide or division.
As the conflict escalates and global attention remains sluggish, protesters in Ghana insist that only urgent, coordinated international action can prevent the crisis from spiraling into an even greater humanitarian catastrophe. Stanley Niblew, TV3 News, Accra.
Still on the foreign front, UK Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood says illegal migration is tearing the country apart as she prepares to unveil major plans to overhaul asylum policy. New measures set to be announced by Shabana Mahmood today, Monday, will include people granted asylum needing to wait some 20 years before they can apply to settle permanently. The plans will also see those granted asylum have their refugee status regularly reviewed, and those whose home countries are then deemed safe told to return. The changes are aimed at making the UK a less attractive destination for illegal migrants, leading to reduced small boat crossings and asylum claims. A total of 109,343 people claimed asylum in the UK in the 12 months to March this year, a 17% increase on the year before. That's according to the government data. My name is Beatrice Edu. Thank you so much for joining us on the morning news today on New Day, and do stay with us as we continue with the program.
Just do it, just do it. It's a perfect song to start a wonderful new week. This is a song by Six Strings featuring Dali, and the title is Just Do It. It gives us just the right motivation to start the week. Whatever you think you want to do, put your mind to it, you can do it. And there's a line in it that I really like, that no one who's ever made it said it was easy. All right, so it might not be easy, but put your mind and your heart and your spirit and hard work to it, and you'll be able to do it. Good morning.
Good morning, Chief Motivator. How are you?
Morning, Roland.
I hope you had a great weekend.
I had a wonderful weekend. Okay. Absolutely amazing.
Did you go mountain diving?
No, I didn't go mountain climbing, but I did spend the weekend on the beach with the fisher folk in Teshi.
So, that's a great one.
I had an amazing morning.
Is it on your TikTok?
No, yes, I think some of it is on my TikTok.
I don't know how come I missed that, because I'm always on your TikTok.
I'm always on your TikTok too, but you don't post anything.
I think I'll start, I promised myself I'll start posting from next month.
Have you recorded your stuff already for posting?
Not yet.
So you're recording one today?
I'm getting on around it. A friend of mine has a station. That's the Kabori station in Anglogan. So that's where I'm going to start. That's Chairman Godwin Tamaklo.
I see. So you're going there to shoot your TikTok video?
Yes, I'm going to start from there. Then I'll be speaking raw of
But you should just post some of the cool things you do in the studio.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some of the very cool comments and contributions that you make to behind the scenes.
Great. And I think that the finance minister started a roadshow from Thursday, or let's say, Thursday, because he went to Ivan Spencer and subsequently went to Benadavle and then came to us as well. Today he's on Weasel. And I thought that was the coolest thing that a finance minister, it doesn't happen very often. We haven't seen Ken Oferiatta do that. Like you put your budget together, you go to present it before the Chamber of Parliament, and subsequently you follow through and you get asked questions, and then you give real-time responses. And I thought that was the coolest thing to have been done.
On the mind.
And so, Casey Latofos, and wherever you find yourself, please, good morning to you, and thank you for the great work as well.
I think it's something we can credit this administration for transparency. And interaction with the press.
It's a lot of work and energy.
I
mean, to stand on your feet to deliver budgets for all these minutes, and then you're going to stations, even if it's just 1 hour. How many stations did you just mention? About 5 hours.
Today will be the 4th?
Today will be the 4th.
Yeah.
So no, he also went to UTV as well.
Yes. Today will be the 5th.
Yeah, so that'll be the 5th.
Yeah. Well,
that's
and you know, sometimes you would think that the questions will make the Q&A boring, and they never get to be, because the budget is just so big by way of being the volumes, so you have everything to ask from every sector. For example, on big issues this morning, we're focusing on the education sector, and there have been promises about building junior high schools 200, primary schools and daycares or nurseries 200, etc.
Acquisitions of buses.
Exactly. So there's just so much to ask. And then there's so much we're also demanding. For example, my road from Ajekwejo to Santo, it hasn't been done. Even though big push, big push, and Kwame Govin-Sagboja is doing some great work on that as well.
I think we'll be focusing a bit on that.
But let's not forget, as we are fixing the roads, we're also fixing the street lights. I did mention the other time that the Ebri Highway, it's really dangerous driving on it.
Have you driven there?
Yes, in the night, a number of times.
In the night?
It's so dark, yes.
In the night.
And because there are no lights.
What were you doing there in the night? Now I'm interested.
Up there.
Okay.
Yeah, she cultivates cassava.
All right. Not bad. Not bad.
But beach is alright.
Yes.
Up there at night.
And people, you know, a lot of people drive with highlights on. Even when there are street lights, they still have highlights on. And so that place without street lights and the highlights on, it just hits right into your face.
You know what happens?
And if you're not careful.
The street lights, some of the street lights work and some don't work.
Yes.
So if you're driving on the road and you hit the dark patches, you're tempted to turn on your highlights.
Yeah.
All right, just so you can navigate that part of the road. But because it bends and meanders, you don't know what's ahead.
Exactly.
And that's what makes it very dangerous.
But that whole stretch, there are no street lights, actually. There are no street lights, no.
Okay.
I've been on it several times in the night, and it's not really funny driving on it.
Wow.
Yes, so I hope that as we are fixing the roads, we are complementing them with the street lights as well.
Yeah. And those who have been stealing the street lights should stop
Yes.
it. Should stop it.
Yeah.
Because the government
that really is a bad one.
all the way to
yes.
install these street lights. And you see people who are supposed to be responsible citizens stealing the street lights
That's
in
true.
the afternoon.
That's true.
Oh,
That's
you
true.
see some in the afternoon?
Oh, my goodness.
Very bad.
They appear to be fixing the
a
lights.
problem.
By the time they are done, there are no lights at night on that stretch. And it's just, we demand so much of the government.
robbery.
Yes.
Demand just as much from ourselves.
And he told Alfredo Kansi that they were going to buy helicopters. Of course, he made the announcement, but then he said they were going to buy it from scratch because they didn't want refurbished ones. And in the aviation industry, having, let's say, a 30-year-old, a 40-year-old aircraft refurbished, so to speak, is something that is done in the trade. But this time he says that the armed forces are interfacing with the producers directly or the manufacturers. They are going to look at the specifications. 4 helicopters, we're told. There's also going to be some other jets that will be produced as well.
Yeah.
Going to take about 3 to 4 years for delivery.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing,
Yes.
considering all that has happened over the period.
Yes. And when he was speaking to Alfred kept asking him, so you are going to have them manufactured from scratch? And he said yes. And I really appreciate the insistence he put on getting them fresh. And the fact that they might not even arrive during the administration of President Mahama. But his focus is not having them arrive during his time. His focus is ensuring that as a country, we have helicopters that are fit for purpose. And this comes on the back of the recent disaster. The Z9 disaster, which claimed 8 lives. And it's important that the armed forces is properly retooled so they can be able to carry on proper surveillance without fear for their lives. Apparently, they just have one currently. They have just one, which is in good shape for use. And that's quite unfortunate. We've heard comments from the other side.
Minority indeed, yes. But I mean, this is I think it's timely because we've said this over and again that the Ghana Armed Forces doesn't have the tools they need really to be able to work. And for me, I find it sad that we play politics with procuring aircraft, both for the armed forces and even the presidential jet. It depends on which side of the government, as it were, people find themselves. If they're in opposition, they are criticizing it. When they're in government, they find a need to do it. But I think that it's necessary for us to deal with it. And yes, you're right. The minority says the government is using the crash as an excuse to procure jets that are expensive at 1.2 billion.
They said that?
Yeah, the minority.
The minority?
That. Yes. So
I think we should ask our viewers what they make of the decision to purchase meat, also what the responses are. But very important to retool the Ghana Air Force, so to speak. The Ghana Armed Forces, All
right, so let's put a question to you this morning. We've heard from the Finance Minister, Dr. Ketil Atuforse, and he says that the country is going to procure 4 brand new helicopters as part of measures to retool the Ghana Armed Forces. Now, these helicopters are going to be produced for us from scratch. He mentioned that there will be no middlemen, no third parties. The Ghana Armed Forces is dealing directly with the manufacturers to ensure that at most a period of 4 years, we will, as a country, procure and have delivered to us 4 brand new helicopters. Now, what do you make of this? Is this a step in the right direction? Is this what we need right now? It's also on the back of the recommendations after the Z9 helicopter crash, which claimed the lives of 8 gallant Ghanaians, including 2 cabinet ministers. There are comments from the other side that that's not what we need right now. What do you make of it? Let us know. We're going to put the phone line on the screens in a moment. For this morning, you call us as soon as the number goes up. But you can also cash out this morning if you haven't done so already. Dial *439#. That's the number to dial. *439#. Select option 2 for TV3. And you can win 1,000 Ghana cedis on the show. Yep. Roland, any bonuses today?
Yeah, 200 Ghana cedis each on the side.
Lovely.
Apart from the 10,000 Ghana cedis going to 10 people.
Amazing. You know what to do. Dial now *439# and you could win big. It's now time for This Morning.
And welcome to This Morning segment on a New Day. I think we do have our first caller on the line. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell us your name, where you're calling us from. Okay, we lost him there, but please. Okay, he's actually on. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. Your name, where you're calling us from.
My name is Peggy from Obuasi.
Hello. Please share with us
My
what
name
you
is
think.
Yes. I want to make a contribution to the new purchase of the jets that the government has decided to buy. I think it's in the right direction. You see, the minority can play political gymnastics with it. But you see, I will not sit in that craft or those craft that will be bought. They themselves will be sitting in it. So they can choose to either scrutinize it, very well, know the specific that the country deserves, and make sure that the right thing is done, than to be playing political football with it. It will not help anyone. Those incidents that happened didn't happen to just an ordinary Ghanaian. It happened to the political class. So please, they should give us a break, and they should criticize constructively. That is the best for the country. You see, playing gymnastic football with this buying of jets will not help anyone. Buying those jets, I will not come and see. I think you there will not sit in it. They themselves will be sitting in it, wherever that they will be going to. So they should give us a break. Let's concentrate and get what is best for the country. Thank you.
Thank you for calling us from Obuasi.
Yeah, well, certainly. So that call is from Obuasi as well, just to make sure that. But we have a couple of comments coming through already. Very interesting so far. Let me say good morning to you, Sherry Giovanni. And then also Philip Abochi from Keta says that this is a call in the right direction. The decision by the Finance Minister, Dr. Kesio Latofosin, to be announcing that we need new helicopters as well as other aircraft purchased for the Ghana Armed Forces, and we need to retool our army, he says. Philip Abochi from Keta. Kwame Ansei J from KD says that, well, it's always good watching all of you, and very insightful as well as brilliant contribution from the ladies in the studio, just showing that what a man can do, women can do better. Direct insult to me, but no problem. So your comment is about the purchase of the aircraft. It is a call in the right direction. The only difficulty I have is sometimes when the parties are in opposition, they always complain that the government of the day wants to make business or profits out of announcement of purchasing aircraft. For example, there was all the hula baloo, you say, about the former president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, using private jets. And here we are, the argument has come again, but we should prioritize the security of our states, the security of our president, the security of our ministers, as well as the well-being of our country. If we have a strong armed forces, a strong fleet of aircraft, we are good to go, you say.
All right, let's go back to the phone lines and speak to our next caller. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. What's your name and where are you calling us from? Idris, welcome and good morning to everybody watching us live from WA this morning.
Yeah, we hope that everybody is fine.
All right, Idris, tell me, what are your thoughts on this purchase of 4 helicopters?
Yeah, let me say good morning to the local language. While I answer, we're doing G24 and also good morning to the NPC regional chairman and the Upper West region chairman Abdelaziz White. And we thank God that we are having another Ghanaian Monday again. And good morning to the TV3 Newday.
Yes.
Normally, you know me and the NPC communication team that you know it. Our biggest problem currently is our minority leader, Attorney Martin. We need to change it. Let me tell you something. The reason why I'm saying is that currently almost 30% of Ghana having the focus on the government of the day. It is not of anything that you can use for politics. Me, I supported a supporting with the Ghana and forces. If they want to say, even purchase 10 helicopters, 10, they can help and they survive. Look, for the past 2 months, we all see what has happened. We haven't done helicopters in this country. Even aside politics, if something bad or something serious happens in Ghana, versus other countries, where are we going to use to defend ourselves? Yes. So me, I supported the finance minister. I supported to the head to support that helicopter for this country. The helicopter is not coming in the name of NDC, and it is not coming in the name of President Mama. The helicopter is coming to this country in the name of Ghana. And the helicopter is coming to serve the people of this country, not the people of NDC. You understand? For me, I support them. I support them highly 100%. They should go and buy the helicopter. You see, we are in a country that we all have to come together to build a good nation. You see, it doesn't matter whether you are NDC or you are NDC. But if the town country change, they change it. He will change it. So I am saying to the calling for a minority change at the parliament. We need to take our minority leader as a minority. Don't to start calling for it. Seriously, the man is not serious for this country. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Idris, for your call. Idris sharing his thoughts there. You can also call us. Let us know what you think about this purchase of 4 helicopters, which are set to come into the country in at most 4 years' time. It's part of the government's ways of retooling the military. We currently have only 1 working helicopter, and after that unfortunate Z9 disaster. Is this a step in the right direction? Let's know what you think. We have another caller joining us.
Yes, we do. Hi, good morning to you, sir. Thank you so much for calling us. Your name and where you're calling us from.
Good morning, madam.
Good morning.
My name is Jayam, calling from Tamale.
Yes, sir. I hope Tamale is well today. Tell us what you think.
Oh, Tamale. Oh, we are managing and we are doing very well too.
Okay.
You see, what our president is suggesting now is a good idea. Why am I saying so? The last administration government, in fact, you were renting the jet, and it cost a lot of money in this country. When we were talking, they said we should keep our mouth shut. Actually, 10 months in government, look at the things that she's deciding to do in this country. In fact, he's not even going to use these youngsters. In fact, he's going to do it for better Ghana. So that the military side, in fact, they can get more equipment to do any duty that they want to do in this country. We will not allow what happened to our late MP, Honorable Mr. Nko, that thing to happen in this country again. So it's a good idea that the president should decide better now for future. Because what MPP member of parliament are saying now, when we're there, when the president were erecting gates, when we were talking, they were insulting us. But if they don't have certain meaningful ideas to advise to the president, they need to keep their mouth shut and listen to us to do what is good for better Ghana. Because we will not allow them to defend the presidency to do things on their own, like what they used to do. Well, that's why Ghanaians were able to keep them out of power and now bring somebody who's going to reset the country. That's the resetting that we are seeing. Actually, they should pray for this government to succeed. If they don't have any meaningful prayers, they need to keep their mouth shut. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day too. Thank you very much for calling us from Tamale.
All right, let me read a couple of messages coming in from some of you texting us. Good morning now. This is a message from Master Planner, Policy Analyst in Kintampo. Procuring a new aircraft is good news for Mother Ghana. I'm certainly sure that the mighty minority will support this call. And it won't be so partisan like what the NDC did in opposition. The NDC in opposition only thinks about themselves and not about being patriotic citizens. Honorable Kojetua Blakwa should come and apologize to Ghanaians before they buy the aircrafts. All right. Prince Henry from Kufuorija is sending us a message this morning. He says, good morning to you now. Buying helicopters should not have been should not be even better negotiable at all, because we can't replace human lives with money. I think and I know that everyone will support the government on this particular agenda of buying helicopters. May the souls of the 8 who lost their lives in that helicopter crash continue to rest in perfect peace. Good morning, Na, Beatrice and Roland. It's so great to see all of you so happy on social media before the show. And when the show starts, you are all serious. We're always serious. Yes, but thank you for sending that message in. We have another caller joining us, Beatrice.
Yes, okay, let's go to him now. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. Tell us your name, where you're calling us from. Very well, thank you. How are you two today?
Fine. This is Chief Mumin calling from Shukura.
Chief Mumin, thank you for joining us. Tell us what's on your mind today.
First of all, let me say good morning to my honorable MP, Abdulatif Dan of Ablikuma Center, and then my able MC, Honorable Frank Lukansa. My contribution to this is the agriculture. I think it's very, very important. Ghana, we have to start owning our own things. It's very, very important. Because when they buy this thing, it's not going to be only for one party, either NDC or MP. It's for Ghana. So, please, I beg you, sometimes the politicking is too much. The polarization of everything is too much in this country. Whatever things they are going to do, and it's going to be a benefit of the nation. Let's do it. Let's support it. So that one day we will not lose life like the one we lost before. We are begging Ghanaians. Let's do things in a nationalistic manner and stop this politicking. If NDC is empowered to do, and they are going to buy even 50 helicopters or jets to support military, police, and all the security services. Let's do it. One day, another party will come, and it will benefit from that thing as well. So that is my take of this issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chief Mumin, for calling us and for sharing those thoughts with us. Well, there's a world-class university right here in Ghana, Rosebank International University, a strong South African university there, and a brand of the ADV Tech Group, Africa's largest private education provider with 146 schools across 5 African countries and over 100,000 learners, and partly owned by the World Bank through the IFC. Rosebank International University is fully accredited by the South African Qualifications Authority, the British Accreditation Council, GTEC in Ghana, City Guild UK, and Capsicum Canary Studio. At Rosebank International University, we offer a Doctor of Business Administration, MBA, Master of Science, and Master of Philosophy in Digital Marketing, Bachelor of Supply Chain Management, targeting professionals in freight forwarding, customs, etc. We offer hospitality and culinary arts as well, available at diploma, undergraduate, and postgraduate levels. Our ICT has BSc Information Technology in Business Systems and IT Computer Application Development, all carefully designed to equip you with the skills and qualifications needed for a successful global career. Remember, our mission is simple: inspiring excellence. Admissions are now open for January 2026. Visit our modern campus at Airport Commercial Opebia House, Accra, or apply online at www.rruc.edu.gh. Rosebank International University, building global citizens.
Well, so we have a couple of messages again coming through. Kwesi Menta, Albany, New York, good morning to you. And you say that purchasing aircraft for the Ghana Armed Forces is the way to go. It shouldn't even be resisted by any means possible. Prince Henry Kofodia, anyone who is against buying of helicopters for Ghana at this moment is an enemy to the state and must not be taken seriously. God bless our homeland Ghana, PHK. And the Majina, who didn't get through the phone lines today, has sent a long one. Just like how long he makes his responses or talks. He says, I want to begin by commending Nana Domahine Osajefo Osiadeyo Dr. Jiman for his remarkable gesture in donating a brand new car to HIV/AIDS educators. And the act goes beyond generosity, but then comes onto the substantive matter and says that government's intention, and it's not just an intention, it's not a decision, to purchase a new helicopter or a fleet of aircraft, I believe, is a step in the right direction. And, he also continues. And then we also have Sherry Giovanni. Sherry Giovanni says it's a good idea to purchase new helicopters for the security agencies. I'm sure by now we have all come to the conclusion that the over-politicization of everything, including the security of our citizens and the state, will not help anybody. And the last one is coming from Michael Bodu Asemeni. Good morning to you. And he says that even Togo, and other smaller neighboring countries have better jets than Ghana. Ghana needs a brand new jet. Actually, many of them for the president's travels as well. One for the VIP's travels, and also the need to retool the Ghana Army. Michael Bodua Semeni, Mr. Good morning to you.
All right, let's go back to the phone lines and talk to the scholar who has just joined us. Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Good morning, sir. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
Yeah, my name is Zela Richard. I'm calling from Togo.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. So we all agree that the planning of the aircraft is the good initiative for the PCF and the future storage. But there is one thing that I agree with that, and that is the research aspect of it. You see, when this helicopter issue was happening, we needed to take the aircraft to the manufacturer and everything. So I'm suggesting that when it comes to the aircraft, the building of the aircraft, we should send our security personnel to monitor and see how things are. And even when we come back, then we should know how or the details of how the aircraft works. So that if there is any issue, we can solve it or we will find a way to solve it ourselves.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for calling. Appreciate your thoughts. He says we should send our people to go and monitor when they're building the aircraft.
Well, so I think the finance minister said that this directly is going to have the Ghana Air Force interface with the manufacturers as well as to take a look at.
No third parties.
And then this one is coming from Emmanuel. I'm very happy about the approach of not using any middlemen or third parties in the purchase processes. I want the military themselves to know that they will be held fully accountable for any deficiency in this process, and those found culpable or guilty would be fired and not just transferred or demoted, as we normally see when servicemen offend the law. Emmanuel, bringing this to us, Charlie. People, they blast the soldiers already.
Yeah. Well, we've been joined on the phone lines by Richard Kumado, security analyst, who is one of the authorities who we have come to rely on matters pertaining to security, especially the Ghana Armed Forces, and offered a lot of commentary after the unfortunate disaster involving that Z9 helicopter. Good morning, sir.
Morning, Auntie.
Morning, Uncle Richard. Thank you for joining us on the show.
You're welcome, please.
Great to have you. Now, we've all heard the decision by the government through the finance minister to purchase these 4 helicopters. Is this a step in the right direction?
Definitely, yes. If you look at the Z9 report, and you look at the recommendations in particular, one of the first recommendations, the very first one was that we need to modernize our Ghana Armed Forces, particularly the Air Force, which has been providing transportation services to high-profile personalities across the length and breadth of this country. Once we put in the right resources, we will get the right results. And I think it's long overdue. So any attempt and any effort in providing them with a modernized aircraft is the right thing to do. And we thank government for doing that. Secondly, you remember the Deputy Minister of Defense has been in Parliament recently, and he was talking about corrosion of the executive jet, which means that when it comes to the area of the executive jet, this one is a little bit too old, and that's why I keep on going for many of the corrosive maintenance regimes they have taken it through. If we get additional 2 jets, I don't know how many they want to purchase, but additional 2 jets for the purposes of the president and the VIPs in this country, I think that would also be a good thing to do. Now, I must also say that I'm living and I'm not dying, and I want to live and witness the commission of a modernized, well-built crime scene and forensic examination center at the Ghana Police Service. I also want to see a modernized 21st century commissioning of a cybersecurity and evaluation analysis center at the BNI. And once you have crime scene and forensic examination at the Ghana Police, and you also have a cybersecurity and the related assessment center at the BNI, then you come to the national security infrastructure with a double-edged sword, which has to maintain many of the things that may take us on unaware. So as much as we are retooling the military, all the security agencies need help. And we are also told that Ghana Fire Service is getting about 100 fire tenders, which is a good one. So kudos to government. Let's hope that these things will be accomplished by 2026, 2027.
All right, so you're in total agreement, and it appears from many of the calls and messages that we have received that Ghanaians are accepting this and welcoming it. Now, we're told to arrive within 4 years or in a maximum of 4 years. What do you say to those who say that's quite a bit of time? 4 years, if we don't have currently more than one properly working helicopter, isn't 4 years too long to wait?
Definitely it's too long. If we are buying 4, we can have 2 for by next year, and by the other year, we can have another 2. Some of us have planned that, looking at the postcard of the finance minister at 214, by August of every year, we will start an advocacy and start a crusade and say that every year in the budget, they should make 2 helicopters allocations in the budget for the Ghana Armed Forces. So if it's saying 4 years, we are begging him, he should split it, make it 2 years, and let the 2 come in 2026 and the other 2 come in 2028 January. And once that is done, it builds up the gap that has been created. It's also a matter of finance. I think the ones they want to go for are a little bit expensive. They want to move from the Z9s and upgrade it a little bit. And those ones come with a little bit of additional expenditure. But let's pray and hope that, as he has said, the finance minister has said, our problem in this country is not that we can't do certain things, but we have to block the wastage. Once the waste is blocked and financial assistance can be cut and people are held accountable and our monies are retrieved, I think we are going to make additional money to be able to purchase some of these equipment that are so necessary and they are so critical and they are so essential to maintenance and the management of national security infrastructure in this country.
All right. I think he did mention that 2 will come before the other 2. But what do you say to those who say that this is probably not needed at this time?
No, probably the public education and awareness creation will help them to understand. Our president travels more than the American president. Our vice president is always on the road. And they are the highest in terms of governance and politics and democracy in this country. Their safety and their security is paramount. It's also one of the major things you have to do if you want to secure your democracy and make sure your governance has consistency. So these are people you want to give them the best, and you want them to have the best in terms of safety and security. And so yes, it's necessary. Yes, it's long overdue. Yes, you needed it as much as possible. Then I'm willing. Maybe our partners, the German Prime Minister or Chancellor was here the last time he went to Kumasi. Germany could have given us 2 aircraft. Russia could have given us 2 aircraft. Then you go to America for the executive jet. So that you balance it and go to China for Z12 or the higher version of the Z9. Then you are dealing with your geopolitical arena, and you know exactly not offending anybody, dealing with everybody. Just like Kwame Nkrumah said, we are friends of all and enemies of none. And these things can be done in a manner that we may not need to pay cash now, and we can factor them into our subsequent budget. And we take care of it because national security is what manages the country, is what controls the country. And if you want your country to develop, then you have to start developing your national security infrastructure, which has been left open and rotting for many years.
All right. Thank you so much, Richard Kumado, for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
sharing your views on the matter. Richard Kumador is a security analyst, is an authority on the subject, and we normally go to him or rely on him for his views on matters like this. We're talking about the procurement of 4 brand new helicopters, as stated by the Finance Minister, as part of the recommendations from the report of the Z9 disaster. The military, the Ghana Armed Forces, needs retooling, and this is one of the things we are doing to ensure that we fix that. We asked you what your thoughts are on that, and a lot of you have been sending your calls and messages in. We'll read a few more messages coming in from you. This message from Prince Henry, from Landlord, I beg your pardon, in Bolga D-Line. He says, good morning now. It is very necessary to purchase these aircrafts or to go into a purchasing agreement because we have the confidence in the NDC government. Thank you for letting us know. Inshallah, we are not opposed to it. Good morning now. This man and his plenty talk, he agrees that we should get the helicopters. That's all he needs to say. Really? Well, that's from Ni Amu. Good morning now. Let me send my listing to Shamima Muslim and her husband, Alhaji Al-Hassan. I have a question to ask the president, John Dramani Mahama. If not the president, would he have sent a helicopter? Okay, I'm not sure I understand your message.
All right,
I'll
so
read it again.
Bonti Benjamin says that government should speed up the process of getting an aircraft and helicopters for the state. It is a necessity. And then also Mensa Majid says one life is more precious than anything on earth. So getting a new presidential jet is the best option. He continues, if we start the process today, the current administration will not even use it. It will be for the next administration. So it will be good for the country to acquire a new one. We do not want to risk lives by using old jets. All right, that's Mensa Majid from Bechem, Toronto. And then also Nene Ode Upio, good morning to you, who says that's from Ralph Akuse, says that why should tools for the military to work become a matter of public discourse? Tools being purchased for other institutions to work are done quietly. We should retool our institutions to enable them deliver. That's Ralph Akuse.
Yes, so let's go to another caller who joins us on the phone. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. Your name, where you're calling us from? Hello?
Yes, hello?
Yes, we can hear you, sir. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Your name, where you're calling us from?
Yeah. Good morning. It's Captain Solomon Deku from Maritime University. Concerning I listened to the report of the helicopter crash, and the report shows that if the Air Force are not properly trained, they are not having equipment, they are not proper supervisors and it seems like they say the terrain. It means that they just fly and then continue on their journey. There should be a supervisor. There should be equipment for weather monitoring. If you come to marine, our side in navigation, we have GMD, we have equipment that track weather. We have a chart that we know the areas, if it is a ship, the depth. It's a plane that should be high. So there might be proper planning, passage plan before the plane took off. So there might be somebody responsible for passage. There must be somebody also for weather monitoring. Those things should be there. So if the people are not, if we look at the report, it seems that we are not serious, we are not a serious country. So please, let's try and do something. They should try to enhance the training of the officers. You see, I also suggest that let Ghana government go to Regional Maritime University. There are a lot of captains there they should be added to, so that they've also added their group before equipment plane is bought. We don't just go in. One thing too, we must also let the officers who are taking over in charge of the plane to do it. They are aware of that. Yes, sir. They should try to limit it. Because when you are taking a command of a plane flying, you should be able to detect if the plane is good, if the journey is good, the weather and all that. You know that somebody in the office give you command, then you just follow. In marriage, when you are going, it is your responsibility to decide whether I have to go or not to go.
Thank you. Thank you so much for calling in and sharing those views with us. The need for us to take our training seriously within the Ghana Armed Forces and give them the equipment needed. Well, hunger can strike any time, but Royal King Cracker is always on standby. When you need something enjoyable to munch on, Royal King Cracker brings the crunch and the battery taste. It fits right into your day, morning, noon, or night. Royal King Cracker, choke your hunger. Just grab one and enjoy. This advert is FDA approved. And yes, we are here again. Cash out. And it's the beginning of the week. You want to dial *439#. You follow the prompt. You choose your favorite platform, which is right here on TV3. Number 2, that's your favorite platform. *439#. You follow the prompt and you choose TV3, which is number 2. And you get the opportunity to get 1,000 Ghana cedis beginning of the year. Keep playing and you increase your chance of getting 1,000 cedis. Roland says he's given 1,000 bonus. Oh, 200 cedis for each person. So yes. So keep playing and you get the chance of winning 1,000 cedis. We're giving 10,000 cedis to 10 individuals, 1 to each person. So *439#. You follow the prompt. Choose TV3.
Well, we have to go for a break. When we come back, we'll bring you big issues right here. But again, we have a couple of messages coming through. This one is from Alfred Mensa, who says that, look, I have my crushes now and Beatrice all looking stunning and splendid this morning. And he sent me a picture with Na alongside the wife. So the picture was taken on the Dudi Princess 3 years ago. I'm sure she went to undertake a play there or do a stage a play, so to speak, on it for revelers. Now, this one is coming from Safas. It is critical to retool the military, but there also seems to be an obsession with equipping the military. How about the police force and the other security agencies? They are on the ground dealing with mass actions and crime every second of the day. Safas sending this to us. Well, I think comes in timely as well. Atokwamina Akins, we should retool and modernize our military to meet today's security challenges and also strengthen national defense. And he says it's very, very important. And then also send me my listing to, who is that? Okay, Alhaji Bini Yoruba Shele. And then saying greetings to everybody else as well. I'm saying good morning to you. Edmond Combat of the Tema Oil Refinery, as well as Alhaji Jibril of National Security. Everybody else in the refinery wishing you all the best for the day. And we're taking a break. We'll be right back. Yeah.
recall, when President Mahama took over, the state of affairs of the road from Pokwase to Insawam, I saw the public outcry. Today, that same road has seen changes. Today, I have seen farmers openly tell the president that, Mr. President, there is food, abundance of food. So please instruct the Ghana Buffer Store Company, right, to come and buy our food. And the president say, I am responding. I've instructed Ghana Buffer Store, 200 million Ghana cedis, deal with these issues of gluts in the system. That is the kind of leadership. Because we'll be focusing on education, let me make this point quickly. At the time we took over, the state of affairs relative to free SHS was a matter of public record. Once again, the kids who are beneficiaries of this policy were the ones talking. The lack of food, it was systemic. Today, under the watch of President John Dramani Mahama, we have absolutely resolved the problem of food in the secondary schools. And this is just the beginning. Let me make this point, that today, the various secondary schools and the problems of food we have within the space of 11 months solve that problem. And I'm saying that this is just the beginning. I'm sure TV3 will have the benefit of going to the various schools and interview those kids and find out from them what is the state of affairs. Thankfully, today, the budget statement is voting about 33 billion Ghana cedis to education alone. 33 billion Ghana cedis to the educational sector alone. That, for me, is significant. Because I always say this, where I am, education is the only reason. I found something very, very telling in this budget statement. A special focus, Roland, on basic education. If you recall, by reason of the free SHS and how its implementation was not planned, government resources, among other things, went into the free SHS at the neglect of the other component of the educational sector, particularly basic education. Today, government of Ghana is redirecting and repurposing public financing into basic education, and that for me is very, very revealing. And I'm sure we'll have the benefit to dovetail into the other major issues.
Yeah, and then expatiate on the other ones as well. Absolutely. We've been joined by Dr. Kweku Boahen, and thank you for joining us. And Eduji, you haven't met him before, but yes, he's with, what's your think tank name?
Ghana Watch Initiative.
Ghana Watch Initiative also as well. And thank you for joining us as well.
I'm a friend of civil society. So, yeah.
Nice one.
But pointedly, 200 junior high schools to be built across, and then also for primary, we have the focus also being there. There's the fees being paid initially for first years as far as the academic user fees are for those who want to make the entry. But overall, would you say the minorities' criticism that the government is saying they will take about 3 years before they end the double track is in good stead, so to speak?
Yeah, so let me wish all our viewers good morning, and to say once again, reiterate my position once again, that Ken has a place on this table. Ken has a seat on this table, yeah, so we should not be deceived by any CSO narrative.
United Party.
Kennedy Japan has a seat on this table. Let's be clear about that.
But please go ahead with your comments.
Yeah. Yeah, so
yes,
I think the biggest issue the minority has, because if I understand your question well, whether or not the minority is right to criticize what's called the 3-year projection by government in ending the double track system. My initial reaction will be to say that this minority, without even going into the merit or not of it, do not have any credibility, any moral credibility to be criticizing. They must take their time. They must take their time because if there's something that's clear, when they decide to do the free SHS, no matter and on the question of whether or not it was good to fund education at the secondary level, I think we were all united in our acceptance of the benefits of funding free SHS. I think where there were divisions or where there were disagreements was in the implementation. That in 2017, taking into consideration our fiscal position, whether or not it was prudent for government to have rolled out the free SHS as quickly as they did. You know, I think the opposition then were of the view that as much as they did not disagree with the free SHS itself, their issue was in clearly the lack of planning in how government implemented SIM, taking into consideration the fiscal space available to government. I don't think they saying that they'll end free SHS, they'll end the double track in 3 years' time is any departure from what their position has always been. Because they've always been of the view that as much as they agree with free SHS, they thought that in the rolling out it had to be staggered because of the fiscal implications. And I think they've shown consistency in that thinking in their projection that it will take them about 3 years to completely, as it were, stop the double track. Because it has a number of what's called implication. It means that they need to invest in infrastructure and per their fiscal strategy, that will take 3 years. I think that's a very prudent, a very smart what's called way to go. And we see that even in this budget. Because as much as they are spending 33 billion on education, you see that it is planned. Because it's not like all the money is going somewhere. A bit of it is going to CAPEX. A bit of it is going to what's called teacher training. I can see that teacher training, funding to the teacher training has really what's called improved. And so my view is that I do not agree with the
now colleges of education.
College of Education, College of Education, formerly teacher training. So we are clear. There are some people who still refer to that as teacher training.
Yeah,
we don't want
the budget. It was
but we are communicating to the masses. We want them to be clear. So what they need to be teacher training.
Must also understand.
They understand. So they understand.
Because as far as the teacher training is concerned, 207 million was voted.
I'm only trying to.
He's saying that they are now College of Education.
College of Education.
I'm not going to argue with him on that. But we are communicating to the masses, and the masses need to be clear in their mind that when we say
as far as the lexicon is concerned,
it's the same as the
teacher training. Teacher training.
Exactly. So yeah. So
that's why we know. We only know teacher training.
So don't let us confuse I see the minority trying very hard to once again play partisan politics with this, but we are just in 2025. We've had a government that's managed to bring about a massive restoration in the dying confidence the people of this country had in the economy. We have a leadership that has a clear strategy in how it's going to tackle the education issue. We have a leadership that has shown clear commitment, because they show me where you spend your money and I'll show you what your commitment is. But beyond that, there's a clear strategy as to how they are even going to spend the money in the educational, sector. One thing I found very interesting was the IGF. I understand that the education itself is able to generate about 3.something billion internally generated funds. For me, I think my only comment there is that it will call for greater accountability, as in they should be able to tell us that's what they use those monies for. Also, when you read about it, there's a huge component of it that goes into CAPEX, into building of infrastructure. Because if there's one problem we've had over the years, we spend so much money on education, yet there are Ghanaians who are still studying under trees. Yes, I can see a lot of money being allocated there. And also, you can see a lot of, I think about 2 point something billion allocated to goods and services. So my only wish is that in the implementation of these budgets, the rules that govern procurement, you understand, will be followed religiously. But having said that, I must say that my initial impression of the budget is one that is really positive. Yes, I'm really positive because clearly you can see that government wants to consolidate the huge strides they've made over the last year. Must commend them for right now we don't have COVID levy anymore. No, so we must see it. We don't have COVID levy. The war in Russia and Ukraine is still raging, and COVID levy is gone. VAT has been what's called how VAT was computed
has been reduced.
Has been reduced also. And the war in Russia and Ukraine is still raging.
Following the decoupling, and so
Yes.
it makes multiple taxation reduced. Yes.
And then they've increased the threshold from 200,000 to 750,000. So a party that we say are social democrats, they seem to have given us a budget that's very business friendly. Beyond the clear commitment to education, they've given us a budget which, for all intents and purposes, within this very tight fiscal space, is very business friendly. The interest rate has reduced also. Interest rate has reduced significantly. So it means that the cost of doing business has also reduced. Oh no! Why are you?
I'm just following you. Interest rate is still around.
Okay.
20%.
So as in the point I'm trying to make is that this is a very positive budget. My only pride is that we won't have issues with the implementation. Because I don't think we've never had issues with the planning. The issues we've had with the implementation. And I hope that the implementation will be so seamless that the transformational agenda that the government seeks can be realized. Yeah, so those are my initial reactions. Very positive budget, and kudos to the finance minister.
Dr. Tutubuahi, so you take a look at what the reaction has been generally, and then as we dovetail into education, what would you have wished that perhaps the government could boldly have said that we want to make a decision on? For example, the argument has always been about whether you need to pay teacher training allowances. You know, it's a voter decision issue. You know, you allocate 207 million. The argument will be from elsewhere in civil society. You can use it for something else. You know, either provide infrastructure, let those who are the beneficiaries or those who are in the training colleges access student loans, so to speak. But on the other side, when it comes to voters, it doesn't resonate well with them. I mean, generally.
Yeah, I mean, good morning once again to my co-panelists, and good morning to our viewers. Baro, let me make a special greetings to our producer, numero 1. Shadrach Abe. Yes. I greet him in capital letters.
I hope I know where you're going.
No, I'm only greeting him.
Okay. Greetings to you.
Yeah.
Greetings to you, Shadrach. From
so, Papa, you know that I have enjoyed training college allowance.
Before?
Yes.
You are a beneficiary?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I wouldn't sit here to say that it is not good. It is. Proud to, or after the FQ, you remember the FQ policy? Yeah. I mean, the Rawlings regime needed to motivate people into teaching. So the training college allowance came into being. And some of us, we took advantage of it. Else, where we were coming from, we were so vulnerable, we couldn't have gotten to where we are now. And so I would say it has been helpful, in promoting education in Ghana. And you see, now that politics has equally taken a better part of it, I don't think that any government would want to risk, to say that I'm going to trade that policy for something different.
Okay.
I think that JDM1 actually suffered, to some extent, when there was that decision of that came with regards to training college, allowances. But again, there was another intervention, which I think you have highlighted, regarding, going the way of university students with regards to student loans. I think some time ago that conversation came up, and I don't know what has happened to it, as to whether government or the current government is still interested in facilitating that process to ensure that at least every month, student could be given something from SNIT, and that after probably your training, the moment you get job, you start paying. I think that these two can be tied together as to whether government want to replace training college allowance with, SNIT loan. I think that the SNIT loan will be of help, to as compared to the allowances that are given. I also want to believe that, you see, when you listen to the narratives and all that, now there has been a transition where training colleges are now colleges of education, and they offer diploma programs as well as degree programs. So you could see that in terms of tertiary education, they have been these colleges have been upgraded. All right. And so if what I know that their teachers, their lecturers, enjoy the same facility as public university lecturers. And so if the students are equally going to enjoy something that their colleagues at the universities are enjoying in terms of the SNIT loan, I don't think that it will be a mistake, right? But what it means is that there's going to be a level playing ground, for all of them. But it all boils down to commitments, and the fact that if you could equally separate politics, from, the bigger picture, I think that it will help. With regards to the facilities that we are talking about, I think that when you go to generally, from the basic level to the university level, facilities is something that we need to concern ourselves with. Recently, I visited one SHS, at this mountains area, Manfi Girls, right? Manfi Methodist Girls. And it is a school that has performed excellently, at the international level and even at the local level in recent times, moving from grade C to grade A in recent times.
Which school is that?
Manfi Methodist Girls.
The Manfi Girls?
Yes.
Yeah, the robotics.
I think they won it back to back.
And the demand for them is now very high.
But the facilities, I think that if the budget is talking about, upgrading the infrastructure at some SHS, that school should be given the needed
priority.
Attention. Yes. And you see, a school that can actually promote the image of Ghana, at the international level, in terms of robotics competition, it's not a school that you can actually toy with. All right. And Ro, you agree with me that the budget is very comprehensive, and I think that everyone who has actually gone through the budget, will know that it is very comprehensive. With regards to infrastructure development in terms of education, it's very good. All right. Now, when we check in terms of infrastructure, there has been shortage of, or let me say, inadequacy in terms of infrastructure development when it comes to all levels of education, especially at the basic to the secondary school levels. You get to certain places and we see that some of the buildings that students are learning, teachers are teaching, cannot be something that anybody can be proud of, to the point that in this era, we still see schools under trees. And it's not something that we need to. So if the budget is going to take care of some of these things, I think that it will be very good. I hear, in fact, I made some few calls, to some rural areas and all that. Insufficient desk. I mean, even in Accra, here in Accra, I mean, there's one school somewhere at Latabi Okoshi, named after the current president, John Dramani Mahama, JHS. I mean, when you go there and you look at the offices of the teachers, I mean, Roland, if probably you could take your cameras there, you marvel.
Latabi
Okoshi, President Mahama, JHS. All right.
That's how it's being named.
Yes, that's the name. I think it's one of the new facilities in recent times. But look, if you look at it, you wonder whether this construction was done somewhere 50 years back. Move into the classrooms and you see the overcrowding. Very bad. In this era, I mean, we need to do something as a country if you want to get or gain something better from, education. Sanitation is not something that we can
be proud about.
It's terrible. Very, very terrible, especially at the basic levels and secondary levels of education. I mean, this whole issue about double track, has been a serious thing. And I think that parents would actually give credit, if this government can probably indicate its commitment to end double track and not to probably,
Well, they said by 3 years. I mean, incrementally, year 1, year 2, year 3.
I understand. I mean, obviously, like Lawyer Apia Dankwa said, you can't end it in a year, all right? But your commitment is something that is very important. And not to probably indicate something on camera or in the books and say that, look, in 3 years, I'm going to end it. When probably after third year, you will come back to give further excuses and probably to give certain blames and all that. For me, if you can do it, if you can say that even 10 years, but within 3 years, I'll cover this percentage, then that will be fine. You see, so that expectations will not be so much high on you. But the moment you say that you are going to end it in 3 years, then, of course, it's going to be a yardstick of which people are going to measure you in or on equal access to quality education.
What's the meaning of that?
Yes.
Unequal access to quality
education. The balance between rural and urban education in terms of quality is something that, is so bad. I mean, you get all good teachers coming to Accra, coming to Kumasi, Takoradi, the regional capitals. And then this same student somewhere in Fanchenko is going to write the same paper with someone in Accra. You see, even in Accra and the regional capitals, the peri-urban centers, certain areas which are so much disadvantaged. When you look at the kind of quality education students are getting as compared to somebody in Dansuman, someone somewhere in cantonments and all that, I mean, I think that the gap is so huge in terms of resources, in terms of teacher quality, in terms of even textbooks. Roland, I've taught at a place where there was no textbook. You needed to resort to the syllabus to develop your lesson notes. And that was very, very terrible. At a point in time, I needed to use my salary, move from, come and back from Accra, go and teach.
Which school was that?
That's a long time ago. Gambia number 1 LAJHS.
Gambia number 1 LAJHS. Thank you very much for this. But Dr. Kubuahin, so for example, Kenny Japan keeps insisting that we need to practicalize sort of education, and then also equates it to what is done in Asia, etc., and talks about the Asian miracle. But at the end of the day, making provisions for TVET, which have become with a 20% quota for this budget as well for the sector, also means that at least some good efforts have been made, wouldn't you say, based on your own assessment for the budget?
All right. Good morning to my co-panelists. Good morning to Ghanaians. And then a special mention to two people, Patricia Alo, who's celebrating her birthday today, and then Chairman Isaac Entry of Dominic Kwabena, who is also celebrating his birthday.
The constituency chairman,
the former constituency chairman,
for Dom Kwabena for the MPP.
And then the good people of Takrady for hosting us over the weekend.
You guys were in Takrady this weekend too? The other time was Bono.
Bono, next time was in Takrady. And then the Rotary Club, Takrady, that was celebrating their 60th anniversary of their charter. And then, like you mentioned, the incoming president, Fagbara of the NPP, Kennedy Ohene Japan, who is in the Eastern region this morning with the people of Antiaqua and Enetiwa North. He's going to be there with you to share his message of hope. Oh, come on, stop this.
Please go ahead.
Let me come back.
Don't be distracted, please.
Let me come back here.
By the United Party.
Don't mind them. The budget allocation for education, I think significantly, let's say that we've had an increased funding this year. If you look at the budget allocation of 32.7 billion for 2024, and then 31.7 billion last year. This is this year, 2025, and then with 33.3 billion for next year. That means that we've had increased funding. And then when it happens like this, we know that we're going to be looking at infrastructure development, where constructions of new blocks and all that are going to be done. Then we mentioned to the free education policies that have been brought up. No stress-free policy.
No fee stress.
No fee stress policy from the government, which I think is a good initiative. We would have to be looking at things from the Ghanaian perspective, and not putting up any political lenses here and there. I think it's a very good initiative. We have people within our communities that are destitute, that are needy, and then if the government comes in and says that I will support you, but then we should make the policy work. That is one of the few things I sometimes have an issue with. We would say it very beautifully and nicely and do all the politicking about it, but then when it comes to implementation, there are issues here and there. That is what and then like Dr. Titubuahin said, looking at the rural communities where we have some of these schools and the trees in it, I don't know whether they are still existing today, but then I know there are a couple of them. One school I saw in the Volta region, very dilapidated, needs a lot of inputs in there. So I pray that with all these allocations that have been given, it looks good on paper. I must be blunt. It looks so good with all the budget allocations, and then when I computed them together, it gives us almost about 24 billion out of the 33 billion on the value of the monies that have been allocated to every thing that the government wants to undertake. So we still have a lot of money. If it's 33 billion and we have 24.
There are some variance.
There are some variance, and then there are places that I think the government should help out. You see, education actually is the future of this country. And then when we take it serious and then we want to do things that would help with the education of our kids out there, then it means that our future as a country is going to be very good. It's not going to be that bleak with issues here and there. So, but then my issue is that how do we ensure that all these monies or funds that have been allocated are going to be utilized effectively? That is where my issues come in here. Okay. Are we saying that the infrastructure gaps and all that these monies that we have allocated, we're going to use them effectively to ensure that all that we have put out there, it doesn't look too sweet, very juicy on paper, but then implementation-wise, we do that which is needful.
But the free SHS has been kept and is being rolled out effectively, right?
Yeah, free SHS, yes. There have been problems here and there. We all know, we all admit to it, that I think implementation brought a couple of challenges here and there. But then, with the government coming out with the policies that or plans to ensure that they are done well with the upgrading of certain schools, I think about 10 of the grade B schools have been upgraded to grade A. That what yes, what it means is that I can tell you on authority that letters have gone out to some of the schools that that they are now grade A schools, they are not B anymore. And so what it therefore presupposes is that we'll have to go out there and then give them the best of infrastructures that they need to ensure that those schools that are seeded as A schools are done, and then they are effectively looked at. And then also to look at the allocations of money into education, whether it's in the yes, is in the right direction, but then would this improve the educational and capacity building outcomes that we need out there? You see, these are some of the things I'm looking at.
Okay.
It all has to do with implementation. But then hitherto, it looks good, and then
How would you rate the budget on a scale of 0 to 10?
Well,
sir,
I have read some portions. I'm not completely done yet.
Okay, all right.
We're looking at the holistic thing, but then when it comes to education and then roads and then probably some of these few things and then job creation, which has been the issues I have been trumpeting and talking about. I think if
you have no scaling.
If we listen to what the Minister of Finance said, that we are going to move away from exporting raw materials into adding value and all that, being a production-based economy, it means it's going to be good if we do it that way. So for now, from what I have looked at, I would say it's a 7 over 10 for me.
Okay.
It's not too bad.
The minority in parliament says it's a galamsey budget. No, but that's the minority.
That's the minority.
Okay. All right. So Africa Education Wars Executive Director is Kofi Asare. And Kofi Asare was at the post-budget workshop for the members of parliament. And incisively, you could clearly find that the members of parliament were then taken through the key sectorial areas, and he largely also focused on education as well. Kofi Asare, you take all your inferences, the extrapolations you've made. Would you say in total the allocations to education seem to have improved drastically in such a way that perhaps what the outcomes are expected would be achieved?
Morning to your audience. I think that the outcomes we are expecting obviously cannot be achieved with the current allocation. The outcomes we are operating below outcomes. If you look at our targets in our education strategic plan, we are not meeting our equitable access target, and we are not likely to meet it by 2030. We are not meeting one of the most important quality target, which is the proportion or the percentage of BC candidates scoring at least 50 or more in all 4 core subjects. We are not meeting that target, especially in deprived areas, far away from that target. There are also targets relating to transition, primary 6 to junior high school 1 transition. Target is also not being met. If you look at our people-teacher ratio targets, we are currently doing PTRs of more than 40 at some level. We are not meeting all our PTR targets. At the KG, we are doing over 40 PTR. At primary level, we are doing about 38 or so. DHS, we are far from the targets. So if you look at the critical drivers that should take us to Agenda 2030, universal access to basic education with relevant learning outcomes, juxtapose it with any proficiency scores at P2, P4. Generally, there's a big issue at the foundational level. I'm talking about between KG and primary 3. We will not be able to meet our targets. And so it is not this budget will not make us meet the target. And it is not this budget that will be responsible for that. But systemic issues haven't been addressed, including the deficient financing. Now, this is a systemic issue when it comes to financing. In the past 10 years, since 2015, Ghana's economy has increased by over fourfold over that period. Now, by 2015, we were contributing more than 4% of our GDP to education. Let me put it in a better way. By 2015, education was receiving the equivalent of 4% of our GDP. 10 years before 2016, education was receiving more. In fact, by 2011 to 2012, we were doing about 7 to 8% of GDP equivalent to education. As the economy has increased by fourfold or more since 2015, education is now receiving 3% equivalent GDP. So you realize that as the economy continues to expand, education share of the expansion continues to decline. Now, whenever you see this growth trajectory increasing, it means that citizens are becoming more middle income oriented. They are having a taste for middle income goods. And one critical taste of middle income goods is quality education. So there's a demand for quality education. But the supply is deficient because the investment over time has not caught up with the demand. For the increase in demand for education. So that's the challenge we have generally. And that's why we will not be able to meet these targets by the end of the current education strategic plan and SDG by 2030. But back to the budget. Yeah, the budget allocated 16% of public expenditure to education. That's the highest post-COVID. It was 18% in 2020, and since then we've been coming down. And so the 16.1% is the highest post-COVID. And it gives a signal to how education is benefiting from the post-COVID, from the post-COVID gains, or if you like, the post-COVID not resilience but recovery of our economy. If you consider the 49 billion allocated, adding both the main budget and debt fund, you come to the conclusion that we are having significant increase from last year's 43 billion, and then given the single-digit inflation we are having, it means that there's a good case for real, the real value of the 49 billion allocated for education. So that's in terms of the quantum, but again, while the 16% falls within the minimum international benchmark for financing education, which is between 15 and 20%, okay, as adopted by UNESCO, for which Ghana is a member. In terms of GDP, it falls below the minimum target, because the minimum target is 4. It's between 4 and 6, and we are doing 3.
Okay.
Now, I need to explain this. This is very, very important for Ghana. And I was telling our MPs yesterday, because you see, even though the target has a range between 15 and 20, the 15 and 20 targets.
You said you were telling your wife yesterday.
I was telling the MPs.
Okay.
A wife there, Charlie, I beg you. You see, the issue is that when these targets were being set, the reason why it was not pegged at 15, but varied between 15 and 20, and between 4 and 6, and not just 6, 4, is because UNESCO appreciated that various governments have various models for delivering education. Some of them may be very, very economically, prudent. Some of them may be very, very expensive. may not pass the economy test. And so let's widen it such that in the countries that have very, very expensive models for delivering education, will have to meet the upper threshold of 20% of annual public expenditure on education or 6% of GDP. Okay. In the case of Ghana, Ghana is one of the countries in the world with the most expensive education system. Ghana's secondary education system is the most expensive in the world. I'm talking about the public education system. But Ghana is the only country in the world where secondary education is boarding as a norm. Ghana is the only country in the world where public secondary education is boarding as a norm.
So, Kofi Asare, what are you advocating? That we walk to secondary school, or we have community day schools, so to speak?
You've been in this country for the past decade, and you know our position on feeding children of the rich and the poor in school. I mean, that's trite. And so the point I want to make is that if you have such an education system, you should be meeting the upper threshold of at least 20% of the national budget of education and 6% of GDP equivalent to education, and not the minimum. So I don't want to explain that, because even though we are meeting the minimum threshold for the education share of public expenditure allocation, it is not enough because of the nature of our education system.
All right. I know your focus as Africa Education is always on education, but I would want, please just, if you can, just stay on, because I'll need your 3 minutes. But let me go back to Eduje. Education and the allocations would have to depend on the overall performance of the economy. Sure. And you take an assessment of the year, the consolidation of expenditure in itself. And you look at what has been projected beyond just education. Because if the sectors don't perform, then energy, real growth that will be witnessed, whether it's for revenue from wherever, industry, etc., then it means that education doesn't get the needed allocations. Projectively, what do you think gives you hope from the year into 2026? That makes you think that that fiscal consolidation that has been achieved could ensure the others?
You see, let me make this point. So a lot of the conversations has been to the fact that, nothing has happened. And that the Mahama administration is just benefiting from the impact of policy lag. Because anybody who has the benefit of economics and is steady will tell you that government policies do not have its impact immediately. So there's always, even if you are running a regression analysis based on impact assessment, you'd want to look at the possible effect of policy lag, in the sense that with this implementation of policy, what time would the impact begin to reflect in the lives of people? And so the view has been expressed that the Mahama administration is just benefiting from what has happened previously. And I think we need to put that in proper perspective. That cannot be the case, because you would notice that President John Dramani Mahama, in his first budget read around March, April, laid certain key fundamentals. One, meeting our external partners to conclude some of the debt restructuring agreements. Those were very strategic. The net effect of that is to free capital, to free funds for internal projects. Roland, it's instructive to make this point, that there had been some innovation introduced by this administration, in the sense that, look, we have used the model, Cocoa Board model, for many years ago, right from the PNDC time when the Cocoa Board Act was put together. Until, under the watch of President John Dramani Mahama, the establishment of Gold Board by the Gold Board Act. That singular intervention, what it has done is to aggregate the sale of gold in the country, which has never happened before. Because in the past, people were just buying and selling their gold on their own. But you know, in this country, you cannot carry a bag of cocoa and say, I'm going to sell by myself. No. You have to channel it through Cocoa Board. It is that same initiative that this government has put together through Gold Board. Today, by reason only of Gold Board and the fantastic work that my brother Sami Jemfi is doing at that outfit, we've gotten more into the reserves that we have today than ever seen. In fact, we have doubled our reserve as today. What we have always been known to is the PMMC model. But this government has to do a drastic policy intervention using the Gold Board. That has never happened. And that alone had provided the needed buffer. Have you asked yourself why by 2017, April, we had to fall on Franklin Templeton to give us the 2.25 billion, bonds, to provide the initial shocks, the shock absorbers for the city. Fast forward from 2017, we were doing annually, averagely, $2 billion of Eurobond. There was a time in this country when we had to do Kenke Party, Wache Party.
I don't understand. What do you mean?
To welcome Eurobonds. There was a time in this country. Have you asked yourself, why in 10 solid months, no Eurobond, but the economy is moving? Have you asked yourself? That is innovation. That is thinking outside the box. We have never had that kind of leadership in the past, in the last 8 years. That transformational leadership anchored on the leadership of Atoforsin, the governor, is what has brought the fruits that we are seeing.
Well, it's been criticized by the minority who say that the good for oil policy started by...
What good for oil? Please. Where I sit and where I work,
it's just a variance.
I know what good for oil was doing. I don't want to go there. Please. We are still paying for it today. Yes. I don't even want to,
go for oil policy.
Please, I beg you. We are looking at practical solutions. Gold Board. Just by reason of aggregating all your gold seal in an entity, look at how much we have gotten. And in the past, anytime they needed to buy gold, it goes and never comes back. This time around, government itself is the one buying, like the Cocoa Board model. So once you buy and you go and sell, the foreign exchange retention comes straight into the country. And it no longer gets out
so
there
that is
and
providing
never
the buffer?
That is what has provided the stimulus, the buffer. In the past, the Ghanaian cedi was on performance enhancing drug, Eurobond. And so in the space of 6 years, we've done $11 billion of Eurobond. It has been almost a year, no Eurobond, and the economy is doing so well. Now, let me come back to the critical issues. And I want to tell my good people in Aflao, in this 2026 budget, is the market for Aflao, and it will feature prominently. You are also aware that the road from Ho through Avedakpa right to Aflao is under the big push. I don't know if you know this place. From Navrongo to Chana, to Katu to right to Sisala, into the Sisala zone, into Wa. That road was so terrible. President Mahama had put it under big push. And once that road gets worked on, what it means is that it will cut travel time from Bolgatanga right to Wa, which is a good thing that we all need to applaud. I am so happy that when President Mahama took over, unlike what Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo did in 2017, where road projects that were under Cocoa Roads, Akufo-Addo said he was going to institute an audit. And for 6 months, 1 year, those road projects were left to deteriorate. President Mahama is not saying that. What he's saying is that contractor, do your work. If there's a need for any audit, the audit to go together. The two.
Alongside the work.
In fact, you can chew corn and still walk. So you get to do the work, or you get to do the work whilst we do that. Because you see, it turned out that when Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo asked that they halt those projects to do the audit into the Cocoa Road, by the time we came back to those projects, the costs had doubled. President Mahama doesn't want to be caught up in that trap. So today, Winneba, Kaswa to Winneba Road is going on. The road project from Pokwase to Insawam is going on. The Community 25 to, what shall I say, Central University is also ongoing. So the motorway is also ongoing. So that is the kind of...
And then they intend to build a new road altogether to Kumasi.
I want to conclude on that. The whole idea that the president can sit down and think through and say, look, we need a new expressway. In fact, let me say this. I remember meeting the roads minister in a private conversation. I said, Honorable, finish the existing one. He said, look, we can still do that. But this is going to be a unique expressway, greenbelt, fresh road that we want to do. And we believe that we have the capacity to do that. And once we are done, you only tow it and it will pay back the financial resources that will be pumped into that.
So it's a straight highway.
Expressway. In fact, that's how they call it.
Expressway.
Expressway from Accra to Kumasi. But you see, there's something unique about the leadership. Yes, I will. There's something unique about the leadership of President Mahama. We have never thought of building railway line to connect the East. Until President Mahama, in his vision for a multimodal transport system, decided to do the Accra to Tema to Mpakadan Railway. It's good President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo continued it, but that was a vision because it is the Gordonsburg Railway system that has stayed with us till now. Accra, Kumasi, Takoradi, that's all. It's curious that a country that is on retirement, we passed 60 years, correct? A country that is on retirement, our northern communities do not have the benefit of railway. How so? If you go to Kenya, Mombasa has one of the best railway infrastructure. We can equally do same because it's just about 600 kilometers. We have the capacity to do that. For me, that is what I believe that the next stage of the NDC administration should be looking at. Connecting the northern communities to rail infrastructure. And once you do that, the benefit usually is that you even save the lifespan of our road. I want to conclude on this. Galamsey, Galamsey, Galamsey. President John Dramani Mahama, to further demonstrate his commitment to the fight against these environmental terrorists, the 2026 budget has in it 150 million Ghana cedis allocation for the activities of NIMOS. That for me is significant. It appears we are not talking about it. Today, in the budget statement, it's an allocation of 400 million Ghana cedis for the Women Development Bank. What it tells you is that the specific campaign promises made in the 2024 election, which reflect our social contract with the people of this country, is beginning to yield benefit. Finally, the almighty COVID-19 levy. The almighty COVID-19 levy.
It's been removed.
Look, this is a government that
an MP said it hasn't been.
Please. I think the people of Trobo deserve better. I want to make this point finally on this. Very well. Sorry. My chance. My chance. I want to say this finally. Is that, look, this levy would have given government of Ghana 3.6 billion Ghana cedis. 3.6 billion Ghana cedis. But government of Ghana says, President Dramani Mahama is saying that anytime you go to that restaurant and you buy anything, that COVID-19 levy on it, he's keeping it in your pocket. That is how you take money back. So 3.6 billion Ghana cedi that government of Ghana would have gotten from that tax, government of Ghana says, let that money stay in the pockets of the ordinary Ghanaian. As for the agri sector, and all the infrastructure project, energy sector, we are building state-of-the-art thermal plants to be owned by government of Ghana, over 1,000 megawatts of power. I think this is how transformative the budget statement is of this.
So at the end of the day, the other sectors of the economy would have to feed into what allocations are made for education. Which one should be prioritized in terms of the sectors?
Certainly the sectors that would give us the revenue to for the social what's called intervention. Because if you read, what I liked about the budget was the effectiveness of the compartmentalization. You understand? So I to make it clear that there are social, there's a social side of the budget. So that's the education, the health, and but our effectiveness as a country to fund the social side, the social needs of the country will depend on how the real economy itself is doing. So business. So personally, I would have wished that, as in the budget, I said, my brother here, and he's not very well, as in, when I say he's not very well, he gave his...
Dr. Boyne?
Yeah, his overview was more of a Ghana-centered than partisan-centered, and you understand. The budget, in my view, is a very positive, but I would have wished, my only issue is I would have wished that government would have used more of the PPP
approaches.
The PPP to deal with
the roads,
infrastructure, to free funds for the real economy. Yeah, because there are a lot of positives. As in, we've not mentioned the palm, the palm agenda, which is very positive. Because you see the danger with
up to 2032, we're talking.
Yeah, because the danger with placing the stability of your reserve or the ability of the country to
commodities
to bolster is on
the traditional commodities
is the pricing, and we have no control.
And it comes with an inherent risk.
Yeah, you understand.
I remember in 2015, Setekwe read the budget. By June, crude oil prices had fallen from $85 to $45 per barrel, and that basically took the economy haywire.
In fact, that risk is even in this budget because we projected oil pricing in terms of the commodity revenue at $76. Meanwhile, the global projection for oil price is it 60 or 70?
It's not 61.
No, I'm talking about the global projection.
Oh, okay.
So
By close of year.
Is 70. Now there's a $6 gap. Even if there is about even a $2 short, $1 down. So I feel that a lot of allocation should have gone into the real sector. But Dave Down wasn't, but a lot more. And we would have been able to achieve that if we found a way of using the PPP, the private
approaches.
Public approaches to deal with the
key capital expenditure items.
You see, is it not also the case that after our dubious distinction of defaulting on our key international payments within 2022 and 2024,
with our creditors,
it's given a certain credibility challenge for the country. So immediately going into said PPP agreement for people. I remember there were some major road projects that the loan, people giving the loan, the Obechebi Lamte and some others. The guy said, look, we won't continue because you are doing a haircut, you are doing a debt restructuring, you have defaulted on your loan.
Even the 25 road.
Exactly. And so, for that matter, we cannot continue to give you money. And so you also need to look at it within that context, that it is now that thankfully the international credit rating agencies have basically upgraded the country's credit worthiness. So based on that, I'm sure the discussion...
But we can look inward as well. Yeah, we can look local.
Because TEMA is being done with, by a PPP. And I feel
maybe pension funds.
Probably.
Pension funds. We have about 100 billion 100 billion Ghana cedis worth of pension funds sitting idle.
Exactly.
Maybe it's one of the areas that we need to look at.
Okay, you finish.
So, for me, the key is I felt that we could have looked at other sources of revenue to deal with the capex spending.
Of the allocation.
But, then we'll have more funds for the real sector. But having said that, I think the Palm initiative is really positive because I think when
I was listening to that, I was wondering how then do we make that more incentivized compared to what we're fighting with real-time galamsey? Because for many of the areas that we have palm going to grow traditionally, whether it's in western north, or even in the eastern region, you go to Kede, you go to Odan, some of those places where we tend to have the plantations. The farmers seem to be having their minds in two as to whether to give their lands for illegal mining and some of those things.
Yeah, and that's why government making the major because see, when it comes to the rural sector, you know, the key rates they are going to spend on includes tree planting, crop tree planting. Yeah, understand? And so once the incentive regime is high and once NIMOS is able to succeed on, then more funding can then be given to the real. But having said that also, I think we need to understand also the massive progress we've made in creating the right economic environment. You understand? In terms of this exchange rate issue, what's called the reduction in inflation, what's called the change or the increase in the threshold for VAT. And what all this thing does is then to give a real incentive in a very small way for SME to also participate massively in this economy to then generate the revenue. So yes, I'll give the budget 8, but I think that this is just the beginning. If they're able to maintain the fiscal discipline, then I believe that this budget can be the springboard for a lot of.
I just have 8 minutes to wrap up this, so I'll share the 8 minutes between the three people or among the three. So let me just go to Mr. Asare. I give you 3 minutes. You find that the finance minister is saying that the teachers and the backlogs that we have would have to wait for some time in terms of they have to be spread out within the budgetary year up to the next few years. And we have a lot of backlog, don't we, when it comes to putting the teachers on the wage bill?
Well, my interest is not in backlogs. My interest is not in backlogs. My interest is in filling empty classrooms, denying close to 1.2 million children an education. There are about 30,000 classrooms that are empty, that do not have teachers. And these are primary school and kindergarten classrooms. They do not have trained teachers.
At all.
We are in a country where about 1 million are out of school. And if they need to enroll, there must be a school and there must be a teacher. Government is investing in out-of-school children. We are funding programs to transition people who are out of school to enter school. What will they come and do if there's no teacher in the classroom? And so not having teachers, trained teachers in 30,000 primary school classrooms simply means that we are denying 1.2 million children education, in addition to the 1 million who are not even in school. So everything we are discussing in the studio, from bridges to roads to everything, without a comprehensive human capital investment, we will not be giving enough quality assurance for our country and the youth. If you go to Central Gonja, 400 teachers are needed. If you go to Garu, Sola, Anloga, Nadoli, Biakoye, at least 4 to 420 teachers are needed. If you sample 10 districts in the north, it's difficult to get one that has less than 300 teachers needed. I'm talking 300. And so, for me, the most important thing we need to happen in the education sector to restore hope to many of these people who are not in urban Ghana but in rural Ghana is to announce the hiring of teachers immediately, because it wasn't done in 2025. Other than that, the roads, the gold, the currency, inflation, the macro physicals will be brilliant. But the human capital to anchor all these gains on will not be there in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So it's very, very important that we appreciate that. We are building schools, yes. 2 billion allocated to build new schools, build 400 teachers' quarters, build 400 new toilet facilities. In the 2025 budget, allocated over 1 billion to build 261 schools, 1 unit in each district. But those are significant, hugely significant interventions. We are building, we are providing furniture, almost 600 million from DACF in every district. Very significant. But who is going to sit on this furniture? These are allocated in 2025 budget, not this year's budget, not 2026, 2025. And procurement is going on, people are delivering them. Who are going to sit on this budget? So please, we want to tell the Minister of Finance that we cannot achieve macro-fiscal consolidation at the expense of social sector austerity. It's unacceptable.
Okay.
It's unacceptable. And
Point
so
made.
We must find a balance between macro-fiscal prudence and social sector austerity. The level of social sector austerity we are experiencing now in education and health will not be, negate significantly part of the macro-fiscal gains we are making. And so let's look at that angle, recruit and deploy to the most underserved schools that require teachers to survive. Other than that, we are not serving 1.2 million children who are supposed to be in school.
Time is up.
And education because there are no teachers in their classrooms.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us. That's Kofi Ansari, Executive Director, the Africa Education Watch. Yesterday or over the weekend was for the post-budget workshop with the members of Parliament, incisively also trying to bring a perspective on that as well. And just have your conclusions for me before I end up with...
I feel that basically when we talk about student teacher ratio, it's very important, and especially when we get to certain rural areas. It's something that we need to look at carefully. For me, you see, the budget talks about 3,500, recruiting 3,500 teachers next year, right? And I feel that it is still inadequate, especially when University of Education will be alone. Can graduate over 10,000, also teacher, trained teachers. So I feel that, look, we need to do more as a nation, to be able to balance this and then give the rural, child some level of quality education. Obviously, when you check from the university records, most of the students who come from these rural areas, they tend to do well at the university level. So given that kind of level of education, I think that they can still do well. But my final thing is that, Roland, all these things and stuff regarding how we can actually balance, educational funding with regards to some of the sectors is very important. We've talked about exports, and when we do a lot of value additions, you tend to get more money, to be able to cater for some of these things. We've tried other interventions, like the GET Fund, but sometimes, even in this budget, 9.9 billion cedis, for me, is very inadequate.
Hey.
When it comes to the kind of things that GET Fund is supposed to be doing, all right, with regards to infrastructure development.
The GET Fund is one of the biggest interventions when it comes to education
I know,
ever
but look at the
by way
budget,
of policy.
Look at the budget given.
No, but you see, what dog you are not bringing, the perspective you are not bringing is that we have uncapped it. In the past, it was capped together with National Health Insurance.
I understand.
We have uncapped it.
Yes.
So there is more money for educational infrastructure now than the past 8 years because of the capping and realignment.
I understand.
Which is a different thing altogether. That has to take leadership to do that.
I do understand.
Yes.
But for me, if you are going
Oliver Twist.
Yes. If you are going to do it and do it very well, then of course we need to look at certain things that can strengthen GET Fund to be able to do some of these things better and better, so that, you see, it wouldn't be a situation where a Get Fund project would be sitting idle, on a particular campus, uncompleted, and people will be waiting and all that. I think that all in all, the economy is probably will see some lights, going into 2026. If and only if President Mahama will put his eyes on the ground, his ears on the ground, make sure that his feet is moving towards the doorsteps of every appointee to ensure that whatever has been mandated for them to do, they do it and they do it perfectly.
Okay, 3 minutes for you. Just conclude for us.
For me, when I listened to my good brother, Ediji, Council was talking about we having our reserves in gold and all of that coming up and then soaring up the city and giving us the forex that we need and all that. When I hear some of these things, you know what comes into mind? Then I start looking at this Galamsey thing, and then gladly enough, he talks about Galamsey and Naimos, and then they've been given 150 million to fight Galamsey and its attended activities. It is, yes, if we are going to fight it, and then we really have the will to fight it, it's going to be good for us. But then sometimes, many a time we talk about this, and then it's just by word of mouth, but the implementation is not done out there. And then it creates a whole lot of problem for all of us, because Galamsey is really eating up. And then if you look at the heavy metals that are in our water today, that are in the grounds, that is why some of these communities where people have been doing Galamsey in the past, I would recommend that this palm thing that you are talking about, because palm would be very good for us to reclaim, to reclaim the lands and all that. And then some of those things, we are not going to eat the fruit anyway because of the heavy metals in them. But then we can export them for soap making and all those things, so that it will help us. And then also, one other area that I would want the government to be looking at seriously is the issue of unemployment in Ghana. It's a huge thing.
It's a national security threat.
I'm being blunt with you.
And I mean, I say this with all humility. We saw what happened with the stampede at Erwa. My deepest condolences to the family. But I'm aware that government had put in a different strategy going forward. The Deputy Minister for Defense
we'll announce it even. It's
excellent.
There's a new development.
All our people want are jobs.
Jobs.
Right.
Jobs.
Where's Kenny Japan now? Where will he be going?
He is in the Tiwa
today,
and then he's going to go to.
He's connecting.
He's connecting with the people.
He's connecting with the people. I like that.
Okay, my greetings to everybody else in the Ken camp. Okay,
but I understand Dr. Bamia says he's bringing Abrochri to Ghana.
Yes, he said that. He said that. But let's also apprise you of the latest. The Ghana Forces, they've issued a release. The Ghana Forces they've issued a release, and based on what Eduji announced, it's also based on a certain structure. And I believe that over the last couple of days, those had been suggested to have been the alternative instead of just grouping everybody else at one point. And so, according to the letter signed by Naval Captain Ahin, it says all Greater Accra potential recruits are hereby informed that we have a resumption, and that resumption will be on the 20th of November, 2025, this Thursday, as part of the measures to ensure a seamless process based on advisory. We have now, according to the new release and with consultation with the Ministry of Defense as well as the presidency, 8 centers now. They are within 5 locations, all right? So we have 8 centers within the 5 locations. So we have LWAC 1, 2 centers, the Nicholson Park, Bema Camp. So when you go to Bema Camp, you go to the Nicholson Park, usually will be used for football, etc. Also,
it's good we've learned from our...
also had been suggested as well. There was even Independence Square that was even suggested, the stadium. But this one, they have the Nicholson Park. I think they want to use the facilities of the Ghana Armed Forces so that it will be based on their premises. The Air Force Base, Bema Camp, is also there. So we have 2 centers, the Nicholson Park, the Bema Camp, having 2 centers there. The Training and Doctrine Command at Teshi, 2 centers. And then they have the Eastern Naval Command in Tema. So others will go to Tema Newtown area and go and have. And so all qualified applicants in budgets of 600 each. So you will then receive an SMS. It's going to specify the reporting date. So this is how it's going to be. 600 groups per time or per period. And it will be based on you receiving a prompt. A prompt. And all these had been suggested. And they are going to go to the designated centers. They also encourage to check on the recruitment portal for updates as well. The applicants are also strongly advised to strictly adhere to these instructions, etc. And you have to say very good one.
I think that we need to salute the military high command for thinking out of the box. Obviously, we didn't need to have that disaster, completely avoidable. But regardless of whatever it is, we have gotten to a point where we needed to come out with a solution that will avoid whatever happened previously. Thankfully, today, the other internal security agencies, the process is also starting today. They have learned from what happened, and so they have more decentralized the process even better. So I think that going forward, we shouldn't get we shouldn't have gotten to.
We should have witnessed that.
This point.
All right.
It's quite painful.
Let me say good morning to you, Robert Coleman. He's the chief executive for the Wembley Sports Construction Company.
Chairman Prosper.
He's around. Chairman Prosper is also around. Chairman Godwin Tamaklo as well. The rest of the team. And he says that congratulations to the newly or the president-elect for the Ghana Medical Association. So Robert Coleman, Chief Executive, Wembley Sports Construction Company Limited, is wishing commendations of course.
Robert Coleman that he's abandoned me.
Okay, congratulating the president-elect for the Ghana Medical Association, Professor Ernest York. He says that he is my in-law, so make sure you do this message well. And he says that Professor Ernest York has vowed to work in tandem with government to improve Ghana's medical conditions across all medical facilities and then ensure there's proper regulation, advocacy for better working conditions for practitioners. And this one is coming from Robert Coleman, wishing well the president-elect or the newly elected president for the Ghana Medical Association, Professor Ernest York. And we have other messages as well. Chief Mante also says that it's a good thing that we now have centers decentralized for the military exercises in Accra by way of the recruitment, and so that's a good thing as well. Neodic Atukwe also says that Engineer Samoa also says that's a good thing as well. And so we have Eric Ametokwame, who, however, says, while congratulating the finance minister for the excellent work that he's doing, I must also say I'm not happy for not hearing anything on the Commander Sugar Factory in the budget. Is it hidden somewhere under trade and industries? I'm not too sure. I didn't hear. I think, all right. So we'll see how that goes. But thank you, gentlemen, for passing through the studios this morning. Very much grateful. Prince Nani Ayok, thank you for your message as well. Thank you, Dr. Kweku Boahin and Dr. Tutu Boahin as well. Bernard, going by the first name. And Peck, make sure you peck up your day the Milky Way with a rich, smooth taste of Peck milk shortcake. It is a pure delight. They have various ranges or different types, so to speak. They have coconut, they also have butter, they have the milk one as well, and the choco-filled cookies, all made possible. And at a confectionery shop near you, what we call provision shop, you always find them, or the big supermarkets. Please go and get them. All right. We also have to tell you that if you want to look smart and fashionable, visit any Woodin boutique nationwide today. They are offering amazing collection of authentic African fabrics, all coming ready to wear in beautiful designs and colors for men and women. And while Woodin is good for you, it's also enabling you to get creative and versatile with your design. So get confident and get to show off how truly African you are. Go to any Woodin shop today near you and get to choose from their trendy products to complement your style. Go to social media, go look out for them within fashion, you'll find them. We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll tell you about how Nigeria in the playoff failed to qualify to get to the next stage. Yeah, they use juju. We're taking a break, we'll be right back. Not a juju break though.